All right, y'all.
There we are.
Welcome back. Show 2, video show,
number
we
2.
should say. We've got this is our 7th show total with audio. Y'all, welcome back. Thank you for your support on the first video. We're up to like 1,200 likes, 1,200 views, which is awesome.
First video show we did on Facebook, over 1,200 views. Can't talk about how much, how excited and honored we were to have that kind of viewership and a lot of good buzz. And now we got this video now because some of you guys don't have Facebook, so you weren't able to watch the last video. So This one will be on YouTube, Facebook, and everywhere else we can put it up.
Yeah, we kind of made video 1 kind of maybe Facebook exclusive because we've gotten so much likes and so much support on that, and we wanted to make it. We do have some YouTubers out there wondering, hey, what's going on? But this video will be on there. So we want to last week we talked about our top 10 mock. We talked about a couple of free agents, and the Joe Flacco deal. Antonio Brown, where he was going to go.
Talk about him every show.
Yeah, he'll be in the news probably every week.
All off season
until he signs somewhere, and then when he signs somewhere, he'll probably be in the news then. So talk about Antonio Brown really quick. He did meet with the owner, and they did come to an agreement saying that it was the best for them to part ways and make a trade. So it looks like Antonio Brown is officially on the trade block.
Yeah, I do think something will get done with him once the new league year begins. I do expect him to be out of Pittsburgh. I think there'll be definitely interest for him, but with his salary, his contract, it's kind of limits it to what teams can kind of get him. So people kind of might be surprised at the end of the day what ends up getting dealt for Antonio Brown. I think you're talking maybe a second, third round pick. It's not going to be a crazy deal.
No way. We touched on it last week. We don't see any teams giving up a first in this draft. I mean, at the very best, if they want a first, it's going to be next year. Just because it's kind of like, I don't think that's going to happen, but it's kind of like got to set out of mind with teams like, okay, we're about to draft in a month. We've been preparing. We're ready, and then all of a sudden, boom, we trade it. That's not going to happen.
I think more so with the contract, him being due over $20 million, kind of limits to which teams can take on that salary, also take on that kind of personality too. Great player. I mean, as a player,
production is second to none, obviously. So.
But you talk about some of the off the field issues and the locker room issues, and then again the $20+ million cap number kind of limits it to. So I think I think the list kind of stays the same. I would say Arizona, San Francisco, Seattle. I would say those are maybe the top 3, and then
basically the NFC West.
But we've heard some rumblings about Denver.
Well, we did.
Possibly even Kansas City being. I heard something being thrown out there where Denver would swap picks with first-round picks with the Steelers, and then maybe give up a second or a third.
See, if it's or a third, in my opinion, if it's not both, you go and do it. I mean, it's Antonio Brown. If John Elway thinks that Joe Flacco is the guy because he made this deal, a week ago. It's not official yet till the new league year, but if you think Joe Flacco is the guy that's going to make you win now. Obviously, Case Keenum wasn't that guy last year.
Right.
Then John Elway's gonna win now. His job's on the line. His job's on the line. Vance Joseph was an absolute disaster. That whole entire coaching staff was a disaster. So you bring in Vic Fangio. He's bringing in his guys.
And hiring a guy like Fangio, 59 years old. Vic Fangio doesn't have the time and patience to rebuild. He wants to win now.
Yep.
So that's why I think they made the move for Flacco. And they're going to try to get players to win now. That's why I kind of think they probably won't draft a quarterback number 10.
And I mean, and being a fan of the Broncos, in my 31 years on Earth, I mean, the Broncos have never been in rebuild mode. This was their first time they've lost back-to-back, had back-to-back losing seasons since the 70s. I mean, so there's no rebuild going on. They still believe that their defense is good enough. They believe with Joe Flacco, the young guys they have at the skilled positions. I mean, Antonio Brown. I don't want to say it makes sense, but it's definitely possible. And then Kansas City, you touched on. I mean, obviously
he goes to Kansas
City. They don't need him. Let's just say it. They don't need him. But there should be teams just throwing their first just so that doesn't happen. Especially by Broncos, Chargers, Raiders, guys in that teams in that division. Because if you throw Antonio Brown, the Chiefs, you just forget.
But the Chiefs, with the little money and resources they have to spend it on their defense. They have to get that defense fixed because that thing's got. Major holes as we obviously saw in the AFC Championship game, but going kind of into free agency, I think like the draft, it's dominated by defensive players.
Defensive
I
players,
think if
for
you
sure.
talk about free agents, you got to start with DeMarcus Lawrence, the young pass rusher for the Dallas Cowboys out of Boise State. This guy's come right in, I believe it was a second-round pick, and this guy, double-digit sacks, just a really good young pass rusher. Now, that being said, we're going to give you about, our top 10 free agents. He's the one guy
He's the
that's
one
going
guy.
to get franchised. I don't think he'll hit the open market.
I think we're both in consensus on that he's going to get franchised. I mean, if the Dallas Cowboys do let him go, that would just be...
They can't.
They can't do it. They can't afford to. I mean, that's too big of a loss. That's too
Talk
big of a hole.
about what is he, 25, 26-year-old pass rusher with,
No.
14 and a half sacks. You can't let a guy like that go. So
Can't do it.
Definitely your number one guy, but we predict he'll be back in Dallas. And then number two, I think we're kind of in agreement, probably Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, you talk about Antonio Brown. You talk about his teammate, former teammate now, Le'Veon Bell. He tweeted a couple days ago the free at last tweet, that they said they will not franchise tag him. They will not throw a transition tag on him.
Surprised me a little bit.
It definitely surprised me, but then again, maybe the Steelers are just trying to wash their hands with these guys. They're ready to move on. Ben Roethlisberger seems like he's clearly ready to move on. That's a different story about him. We'll get to that in a second.
And too, what I would say, some fans maybe don't realize too, with the Steelers, they don't put a tag on Le'Veon Bell, but when he signs with another team, they will get compensated for him next year. They'll get a compensatory pick. It'll likely be a third-round pick, so they will get something.
They're definitely going to get a big return for both these guys, Bell and Brown. They're going to get a lot to.
They'll get something in return, obviously, clear cap room and also clean up that locker room a little bit.
Absolutely.
And I think
Get rid of the
Le'Veon
distractions.
Bell, when you talk about where he might end up, where do you spend his whole offseason?
Yeah, I mean he
South Beach.
South Beach, Miami. I mean, who wouldn't want to spend their offseason in South Beach? I mean, the rest of the country is frigid temperatures, and we're sitting here in paradise. 80s, 90s, degrees. But a couple teams. Obviously, Miami Dolphins come to mind for the. Do the Dolphins? The Dolphins to me need so much more than just Le'Veon Bell right now. I mean, all the teams that Le'Veon Bell is going to get attention from are going to be these lower level teams that have a bunch of money. So, okay, they can throw the most money out, like the Jets. Like the Cardinals don't need a running back. The Niners, possibly.
Yeah.
But I know you don't see that happening.
No, they like Matt Breida.
Breida's been, and then of course McKinnon come back from injury. You got to kind of give that a try at least.
Yeah, absolutely.
You gave him a 4-year deal last year.
I think Indianapolis makes a lot of sense.
In my opinion, that's
Marlon
where
Mack is a good young running back, but he's more of a number 2 guy.
He's not an every down back.
He's definitely not at the talent level of Le'Veon. So I think that makes a lot of sense. So I would say Indy or Miami. I would say the top 2, and then keep an eye on the Raiders too. The Raiders could very much be in the mix. Got the cap room, need a running back, need a playmaker. I would keep an eye on that situation very closely.
With John Gruden, they're always in the mix. I mean, he showed last year he wasn't afraid to trade anybody. He traded their best offensive player and their best defensive player last year for first-round picks. They have 3 first-round picks now. So, I mean, they're definitely in the mix.
Marshawn Lynch is,
Right, and Marshawn Lynch is there, but he's not.
On a decline.
Right, correct. So, we think, I think when it's all said and done, it's probably going to come down to maybe Jets and Colts, and I think if the Colts make that move with the way Andrew Luck played last year and hit comeback player of the year, made me eat crow for sure. As we all know, I've been very hard on Andrew Luck. Didn't think he would come back from that shoulder injury.
A lot of people did.
A lot of people did, not just me. But you throw Le'Veon Bell in that offense, and they need a little things on the defensive side of the ball. They're right back in the mix. They're a Super Bowl contender in the AFC.
Le'Veon Bell,
for sure.
Yeah, that definitely makes them the favorite in the AFC South.
Now, to talk about the AFC South, maybe transition into that. Another guy that's a free agent or could be a free agent is Jadeveon Clowney.
Yeah.
Great pass rusher.
I would say great. I mean, it was a number 1 pick, high billing. I remember he was the top high school football recruit coming out. South Carolina, he was good, didn't live up to expectations, but definitely
underachieved a little.
Good NFL player. I know he had that knee injury his rookie year, but definitely a very good player.
Yeah,
3-down player too.
Definitely
plays to run well, rush the passer in his prime. You can't really see the Texans letting him go, but there's been talk too that they may not franchise him either. So it is possible he hits the open market, and if he does, you better believe teams that need a pass rusher like Oakland and San Francisco and Arizona possibly, those teams will be in the mix.
Yeah, it's kind of like a DeMarcus Lawrence situation. Like, you can't really see the Texans letting him go. Just like, you can't see the Cowboys letting Lawrence go. You would think he would get a franchise tag there as well,
I think
at the very least, or maybe they do work out a deal. But we usually see these things happen. They don't work out a deal right away. You get franchise tagged for a year, and then maybe next year they figure it out, or he gets franchise tagged, and he underachieves, and then boom, he hits the open market next year.
Yeah,
So,
I think as we get closer to, free agency, I could see them working out a deal for him, either staying either with the tag or long term. I think we both agree he ends up staying with the Texans, and then going next to the list, a guy who's from Texas, played college ball at Texas, Earl Thomas. 29 years old. I know he had the knee injury, but guy before that knee injury, he had 3 interceptions. He was leading the league in interceptions. It's still
he had a great year. He had a really good year.
Still tremendous player. I know he probably wants to go to Dallas. I mean, probably he's let it be known that's where he would like to play.
I think it's no secret that Earl Thomas wants to play in Dallas, and I think it's no secret really that Dallas wants him to play there. I mean, they've talked about it last year throughout the season.
And he will be a Cowboy. Earl Thomas
Absolutely.
will end his career with the Cowboys. It just may not be now because
Might
they just
not be
don't
this
have the
year.
cap room
Might
yet.
not be this year.
I just don't see it. I think, when it's all said and done, he'll probably end up ending his career in Dallas. But in the meantime, I just don't. With DeMarcus Lawrence being the free agent, that's going to tie up their money. They already don't have a lot of cap room.
They don't.
So
No.
Earl Thomas, I'm going to predict he gets reunited with Richard Sherman out in San Francisco. Also Robert Saleh, who was with Seattle as assistant coach, runs their defense. I predict Earl Thomas goes to San Francisco, reunited with Richard Sherman. Niners have a pretty big hole at the free safety position. Earl Thomas fills that, gives them another leadership guy, a proven winner, and I say he ends up with the 49ers.
Now you say we can talk about maybe Seattle tagging Thomas.
He doesn't want to be back there.
He doesn't want to be back there in the age factor. You're almost a 30-year-old safety. So
And Seattle has shown they're not afraid to move on from.
Absolutely not.
With Sherman, if there's guys are showing they're on the decline, that they move on from you, and they've had a good system where they've been drafting well. So it doesn't seem like he really wants to return there. So I think he's out.
I know you think San Francisco is the landing spot. I personally think he's gonna end up in Dallas. It's one way or another. It's gonna happen. They're gonna figure it out. But another team to look out for, kind of maybe, is Atlanta. Atlanta needs something. They have Keanu Neal back there, but you throw Earl Thomas back there with them. I know they got Ronaldo Hill. But Atlanta's been needs something on defense. That could be somewhere that he could end up. But I think we both think it's gonna be Seattle, it's gonna be Dallas, or it's gonna be San Francisco maybe this year. Moving on to another guy real quick. I know Trey Flowers.
Let's go pass rush.
Oh, yeah,
let's go pass rushers here. Trey Flowers, D Ford, Frank Clark. Trey Flowers, the top pass rusher for the Patriots.
Yep.
Another
Which they didn't
young
have
guy.
much, but
Yeah, no, not saying a whole lot, but
doesn't matter clearly for them.
He's a solid young pass rusher in his prime. Good player out of Arkansas. I know the Patriots have kind of shown recently that they haven't re-signed these guys. They let Malcolm Butler go. They let
Traded away Chandler Jones and
Collins. But I think this is one guy. They got the cap room. I don't think Trey Flowers will cost a ton.
I'd say second tier, maybe.
He's
second
a good
tier.
character guy.
Yeah.
I think New England holds on to him.
Yeah, I don't think he's going anywhere either. I think he's going to stay put. And then we move on to D Ford, known basically in the household now for that offsides that he committed. That would have sent, if he didn't, would have sent the Chiefs to the Super Bowl most likely. And then of course does it next week in the Pro Bowl, which is kind of funny. The same exact thing, but
good young player out of Auburn. He was a first-round pick out of Auburn. Kind of early on, didn't live up to the expectations, but recently, what do you have? 14
and a half sacks last year. Yeah.
Good young pass rusher. Again, the Chiefs have so many holes on defense. I can't see them letting a guy like this go. I gotta think they hold on to him.
And a team though that would be interested in him and interested in a pass rusher. We'll get to some more guys too. Cleveland Browns. Myles Garrett obviously anchoring, one side of that, that pass rush and that edge side. But D Ford, you add D Ford to Cleveland, and you get another guy on the other side there. That would be a huge pickup for the Browns, and they've got cap room. So they do have cap room, and they're a team on the up and up. I think it would be a good match for for both of them. I think D Ford would want to play in Cleveland. People are going to want to play in Cleveland now. Baker Mayfield has that team. It has him buzzing. That city's buzzing. It's not your grandpa's Browns, man. It really isn't. You're not your dad's Browns either, or your older brother's Browns.
They're on the. They're definitely on the upswing. And then talk about Frank Clark, another young pass rusher. Guy who's had 32 sacks, I think, the last 2 years. Young guy out of Michigan. Definitely a lot of upside still for him.
Probably a tag option there, maybe possibly for Seattle.
A tag option. He's had some off the field issues though, and Seattle's kind of been reluctant to pay their pass rushers. Have kind of been promoting, within draft and letting guys go in the past. So. I think he leaves, and you mentioned Cleveland. I think the Browns could definitely be a potential landing spot for him. I'm gonna say he's gonna be Oakland Raider.
You're thinking the Raiders? You look at the Raiders and the Browns. They're in play for all these pass rushers.
Yeah, they got the cap room.
They're in play for Flowers if somehow he gets doesn't get the cap. Lawrence, Clowney, D Ford, Frank Clark, all these guys.
Same with the Niners. The Niners have over $60 million cap room. Their number one need is pass rusher. Now. They're probably going to take a guy at number 2 if they stay put. Yeah. They're going to get Bosa or Josh Allen. But the 49ers have a major need at pass rusher, and they have the cap room. So they'll take a look at a guy, Frank Clark, too. If he hits the open market, you best believe the 49ers will make a phone call.
And the thing is you can never, ever have enough pass rushers. Ask the Broncos, Super Bowl 50 champs. I mean, Von Miller, Malik Jackson in the middle. I mean, we had so many guys. This, Shane Ray, Shaq Barrett. It was like, wait, these guys all can't play on the field. Yeah, but you cycle in those
guys fresh
legs to get to the quarterback.
Absolutely.
So if you're a team that's like Atlanta, that's got Vic Beasley, McKinley Tack McKinley. It doesn't matter. They might go after.
Remember the Giants in their heyday a couple years ago when they won a couple rings. They had all those pass rushers. They had Justin Tuck, Pierre Paul. Forgetting a couple guys, but they had 3-4
Jay
guys.
Alfred in the mill was
that could rush the
plays.
Pass rusher. I mean, I remember they had 3 double-digit sack guys coming off the edge, and you need pass rushers.
You need it for sure.
For sure.
Let's see. Moving on to another pass rusher. Keep it going. Brandon Graham from the Eagles is kind of getting up there. I think has he hit 30 yet? He's close around 30, 31.
He's in his early 30s.
So he's in his early 30s.
Solid player.
Absolutely.
He was one of my favorite guys coming out of Michigan. Great work ethic, great locker room guy, very solid guy. Hasn't been the elite pass rusher in the NFL.
Made the biggest play of his life in the Super Bowl, getting to Brady.
And that was his best year last year, the Eagles Super Bowl year. I think he had 8.5 sacks. That was probably his best year. This year, the sack productions kind of fell, but still a quality pass rusher, great locker room guy. There's going to be a bunch of teams again. Oakland's going to be interested.
Oakland, Cleveland,
Seattle. If they lose Frank Clark, I would keep an eye on that.
That's the thing too. It's kind of a domino effect. The Texans lose Clowney. Okay, they're going to be in the market. If the Patriots lose Flowers, if the Cowboys lose Lawrence, which I don't think is going to happen. The Seahawks lose Clark. But you look at the Rams. They spent a ton of money last year. But Ndamukong Suh is probably not going to be back. Couple
Fowler
other guys.
Fowler
probably won't be back. He's gonna, he's gonna look for other places. So I think Brandon Graham, they're gonna look for veteran guys because they're obviously in a win now mode. They just went to the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah.
Laid an egg in the Super Bowl, as we know. Brandon Graham would be a big fit for the Rams,
Makes a lot of sense.
And it would help them get right back to where they were last year. They fill that void. They they lose Fowler, but then they just Brandon Graham, veteran guy. I could see that definitely happening.
I'm going to say he goes back home and he goes to the Lions. I think the Lions need a pass rusher. I think
Lions need a lot.
I think Zeke's out, and I'd say he ends up with the Lions. Let's move on to, I'd say C.J. Mosley is on both our
definitely
lists. Definitely
amazing talent linebacker. He's going to get paid.
About 27 years old out of Alabama.
Sure.
Remember, he ran Nick Saban's defense at Alabama. He's come to the NFL and been a top player on one of the top defenses, every year on the Ravens. Tremendous linebacker, smart, versatile. Hearing a lot of rumblings. San Francisco is going to make a big play for him. They got the cap room. I definitely keep an eye if the Ravens do let him go. Again, the Ravens are another team. They don't spend the big money on free agents, so they like to build within the draft.
But this might be one of the guys that you gotta keep. I mean, he's the quarterback of that defense. I mean, I think he's an amazing talent. You lose C.J. Mosley, you lose a huge void in that defense. It fills. He's.
Yeah.
I think it's almost like a Lawrence in Dallas and a Clowney in Houston. I don't think you can lose that guy. I don't think the Ravens can lose him. I really don't. I remember back when he was getting drafted, Broncos were picking around the same time as the Ravens. We passed on. I really wanted C.J. Mosley in Bronco Orange. I really did, and I think he's lived up to all his expectations. And he's a guy that's I think the Ravens will.
And he's a 3-down linebacker in this day and age in the NFL. You have to be able to play the run, play the pass, and rush the pass. And he's a 3-down guy.
And like always, a tag option.
Yeah.
As always.
Yeah.
All these guys are tag options. Yep. It's something teams can do to just kind of push it aside. Be like, all right, well, we'll keep him. We'll worry about him later. That's the thing.
One guy who won't be tagged, we can say for sure on our list, is Anthony Barr.
Anthony Barr is not.
Will not franchise him.
Nope.
Looks like they're moving on.
It's an interesting decision.
Surprising.
Very interesting.
Top 10 pick out of UCLA. Came to UCLA. He was a highly rated running back. And
that's interesting.
They moved him to linebacker. His junior year exploded. He had I think 13, 14 sacks. The next year, he was number 1 in the nation with about 15 or 16 sacks. Number 9 pick for the Vikings. Kind of hasn't lived up to the pass rush hype, but he's a tremendous player in pass coverage. Good player versus the run. He's a perfect outside linebacker in a 4-3, a Sam linebacker in the 4-3 scheme. He fits a defense like Seattle or San Francisco really well, and I could see the Rams being an option in the middle there because he does play the pass so well. And they lost the guy Ogletree. They traded to the Giants, and he's kind of a similar player but more athletic. So I could see the Rams being in play, and he is from LA too. Right,
and he's a Cali guy, and definitely could see LA. And obviously, like we always say, we've said this team every time, the Raiders, they're going to be in play for pretty much everyone. It's kind of surprising that the Vikings wouldn't even entertain the fact of keeping him because I don't know. I could be
26 years old.
Well, and I don't see anybody else they really have that can tag. I don't know what's going on that defense too much, but I mean. That would be a huge tag option for them. Anthony Barr get his guaranteed money. And he's 26. He's still. I wouldn't say he's still proving himself, but you get into those high 20s, early 30s. That's when you got to make sure you're maintaining your production. So I mean,
he's been a good player.
And I know you think the Niners are in play, and they are. And we keep saying these teams over.
They got the cap room.
We don't think they have the cap. We don't think everyone's going to these teams. It's impossible.
But they will be in the mix for all these guys.
Right. They're in play though.
They have the cap room. Desirable location. Talk about San Francisco. The Raiders are going to be in Vegas in a year. Yeah. Best be sure a lot of guys are going to want to.
There's talk about them staying in Oakland for the next year or two, which is another weird.
Right, but they'll end up in Vegas, and I think that will make them even more desirable free agent destination.
For sure.
And then Cleveland with the money, and Cleveland's got really good facilities too. So those teams with the cap situation that they're going to be a mix for a lot of these guys.
Basically, if you're a Browns fan, if you're a Niners fan, which you are, and our buddy Adrian is, if you're a Browns fan like Robert, if you're a Raiders fan like Sleepy, like my buddy, like my cousin Billy,
Jim,
it's going to be an exciting offseason for you. That you got draft picks, you got cap room, you got a lot of big name pass rushers, and big name free agents in general.
The Raiders are going to be very active this offseason with those 3 first-round picks and the cap. Mike Mayock and Gruden, they're going to get to work and they're going to be aggressive.
Let's see if they still they're still the Raiders. So just remember that.
So that kind of rounds it out. I know there's one other guy. I think Landon Collins is a guy that
to go away from pass rushers a little bit. Landon Collins, I don't know if he tweeted it or somebody tweeted out that he cleaned out his locker room. Sub guy to the Giants. That could be just a move to be like, all right, well, this is what you're gonna miss. You might miss me when I'm gone, kind of thing. But I think he is gone. I don't think the Giants are gonna retain him. I think Cincinnati, he's gonna go get money from Cincinnati. They can do it. That's my and then of course, we said it again, the Niners may be in play a little bit, but I think Cincinnati ultimately ends up with Landon Collins. I think Landon Collins will be somewhat wasted talent in Cincinnati, but they might be the highest bidder for him. I think he might go get some money. I don't know what your take is on Landon, but
I think Cleveland again. Right now we're saying the same old teams, but I think the Browns make some sense, and they have the cap room. But I gotta think the Giants, they have so many holes on defense. Letting a young guy like this leave, I don't know. I still think there's a good chance he comes back.
He should come back. If you're the Giants, I don't know how these guys.
The Falcons too.
The Falcons, like we said, for safeties. Earl Thomas in play, but Landon Collins would be a little younger option for them. We talked about defense on this free agency because that's what it's kind of dominating them. But Nick Foles is going to be probably a free agent. I think
Yeah.
we all think that him going to Jacksonville is inevitable at this point. But Miami's also in play. There's a couple other teams that need quarterbacks that could swoop in. I know they're going to Washington. I mean, Alex Smith might not play ever again. He's definitely not playing this year.
I don't think he will.
I don't see why he would. He's going to be 32,
and
31.
Foles is basically Alex Smith,
right? Exactly.
With the postseason success,
with the ring.
He's definitely much more poised and postseason quarterback. But he's basically kind of another version of Alex Smith, and he'd be a perfect fit in Gruden's offense in Washington. I could see him putting up Kirk Cousins type numbers.
I think so too, and I mean, I don't think he's going to have the postseason success or the championship success he had in Philly anywhere. I think that's over for him. Because you're talking about him going to unless he goes to Jacksonville. If Jacksonville can figure some things out, they got a championship defense.
Yeah.
They said they were a quarterback away last year, or at least Jalen Ramsey thought. But then again, Jalen Ramsey thinks everyone's terrible.
Talks a lot.
He talks a lot of smack, except for the guy that's at his, quarterbacking his team, who is absolutely dreadful. So, I mean, Jacksonville. Other than that, you go to Miami. It's just going to be, a little cash grab. He's going to play a little bit, and then, Miami's. They look like they're in full rebuild mode. So they might not even take on Nick Foles. They might go draft their guy. We see them moving up for maybe Murray or trying to even jump the Giants even for Haskins would be obviously a huge deal. They'd have to give up a ton to get in the top 5.
Yeah.
And I know we touched on our mock draft last week, so we definitely want to get in on that. Back to that for the YouTubers, we both were in consensus for the first overall pick. We both think Nick Bosa is the pick for the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, we talked about Josh Allen; he'll be there as well. But I mean, Nick Bosa's getting the most hype right now, and being this early, we got to go with the hype. And you think he's a great player. I think he's a great player. I just don't know if his motor's always going like it should be, kind of like his brother Joey. But
we're gonna do pretty much a whole show on Bosa, so we'll definitely get
when we get closer to draft time.
But the guy's a legit big time pass rusher, big time talent. I think at this point he's gonna go number 1. I think we have Josh Allen. Actually, we didn't even do our mocks together. We did them separate. And
we didn't even talk about this. I
think 9 of our top 10 picks were the same. We both have Josh Allen going to San Francisco.
We both got Josh Allen at 2, Nick Bosa at 1, Josh Allen at 2, Quinn Williams, the defensive lineman at Alabama, going 3 to the Jets. Absolute stud. I think Oakland is where we're different. I have Rashawn Gary going to Oakland.
I have Ed
Michigan,
Oliver.
And you have Ed Oliver kind of going up there. I have Ed Oliver way down my list, which is we'll talk about on the next show when we go further into it. We're going to do our full mock next show.
Yep.
That's going to be a big show. We're excited for that.
Yeah,
it'll be a long one, but we're going to get every team. Every team in the first round.
Absolutely.
And another thing I want to do real quick. I don't want to get away from the mock here, but we want to do a questionnaire show where, we're going to go live and we're going to take your questions. I know some people at work were telling us they wanted to do that.
Facebook Live.
Definitely be Facebook
take
Live.
The questions, and then we'll do a Q&A too.
Absolutely.
If you want to email or send us. But we'll do a Facebook Live show where people will send us questions. We're also talking about doing a live show probably at Outback.
Yeah, at our, we're all both employed at Outback Steakhouse, so we want to definitely do a live show there before the draft. We'll do that. And we're also going to be doing a contest.
Yes.
It's going to be a top 10. We don't know if it's top 10 or top 15 yet. We're kind of got to see because we know a lot of people's mocks in the top 10 will be the same. So maybe to separate it, we might go top 15. And whoever gets the most right for the top 15 is going to get a $50 gift card to Outback.
Yeah.
So and we know we're gonna work on that. So that'll be fun. Definitely stay tuned for that. That'll be fun. So going back to the mock we had for Tampa Bay, number 5 we had the corner out of LSU, Greedy Williams. We both were in consensus on that. You go down to number 6, the Giants. Everybody, anywhere, if you see the Giants and you don't see Dwayne Haskins next to his name, I wouldn't even look at that mock because that looks like the most lock pick unless somebody trades in front of them.
And they'll probably even trade up for him. I wouldn't be surprised if they trade up to
open
as high as 2,
probably.
or even as high as 2. I could see them.
Yeah,
trading
I
up.
mean, if you're the Niners though, and you want Josh Allen, you need that pass rusher. But if you know they're trading
but
up,
if the Niners trade for Antonio Brown, they'd probably give up a 2nd round pick. They might want to recoup that 2nd round pick.
Right.
So that's something to keep an eye on.
That's true.
But then you got Jacksonville at 7. I think we both have him.
The hot name, Kyler Murray,
quarterback from Oklahoma.
We have a little side bet going on that looks like it's going to be in favor of me saying Kyler Murray goes top 10. I had to throw that in there.
He's going to go top 10.
You know, when it first came out though, and he's like, is he going to play baseball? Is he going to play football? We didn't know.
I don't think it's the right. I wouldn't take him top 10 personally, but I do think he will go top 10 just because.
Oh, he's not a top 10 talent. I don't think he's a talent-wise, but does it make sense top 10? No, but the lack of options, so to speak, and some of the teams that are up there that need, like Jacksonville, that need a spark or need somebody in their city to talk about, Kyler Murray is the smash pick there for sure. At 8 for Detroit, I know I have Ja'Kai Polite, the edge rusher out of Florida.
Love that guy.
He's, I've watched, like I said on the last show, I'm a Bronco fan. I watch when they're on defense, I watch Von Miller. I'm a Gator fan. When they're on defense, I'm watching Ja'Kai Polite.
Great pure pass rusher. If he was 3 inches taller, he'd be a top 5 pick.
Or if Nick Bosa and Josh Allen didn't exist, he'd be the top.
Yeah.
He might be the top pick.
Well, he's 6'2", so that kind of knocks him down. But a heck of a pass rusher. I got the underachiever, Rashawn Garrett from Michigan.
Gary there. That's where that's I think that's our only.
And he might end up going higher after the combine because he's going to be a workout freak. But and then number 9, what do we have?
Number 9 for Buffalo. We both have Jonah Williams, O-lineman out of Alabama.
Tackle.
If you're
protect Josh Allen's blind side.
If you're a first-round talent out of Alabama, you're going to succeed. More often than not. There's a couple obviously busts in there, but
Trent Richardson.
Yeah, I'd say he was the first blind guy to ever get in the league. They said I saw that meme. That was terrible. But he's playing in the AAF right now, and he might be the MVP of that league, but that doesn't say much. So you go rounding out the top 10 for the Denver Broncos. My Denver Broncos talked about the linebacker need for them, needing faster linebackers that can run faster than a 5.40 because we don't have any of those guys right now in the middle, and that's Devin White, linebacker out of LSU. We're both in consensus on that.
3-down linebacker. Vic Fangio's going to want to get that athletic linebacker for the middle of his defense. He had Bowman and Willis in San Francisco. Took Roquan Smith in Chicago. Of course, he had Ray Lewis in Baltimore. I think that's a great pick.
I'm excited to see him in Bronco Orange. And that pick makes more sense now, even after the Flacco deal, because it was some rumblings, are they going to take a quarterback? Elway said he loved Drew Lock out of Missouri. Please don't take Drew Lock at 10. Elway, if you're listening, do not do that. But, with Flacco going to Denver, defense probably the pick there, Devin White. So we rounded out the top 10 again for you.
And
next week we're going to do the full mock, 1 through 32. Show. We'll just list the top 10. You're probably tired of hearing about that, Facebookers, but we'll just list the top 10, and we'll go in some analysis from 11 through 32. Yep. Draft day. It's creeping up on us. We're less than 2 months away. We can't wait for that.
Yeah, definitely stay tuned for the contest, the $50 gift card. That's definitely going to be fun to do.
That'll be fun for sure.
Let's do our shout outs again.
Yep.
And in the show, my guy Peter in Jersey. Got to give Billy a shout out. He's a big fan.
A lot of kind words. Billy's a YouTuber. He's gonna be happy this one's on there.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, because he didn't see the shout out last time. Billy, this one's for you.
Yeah,
my buddy Larry. Who else you want to?
We can go on and on. Brian at Outback, all of our coworkers, listening to us, watch the whole thing. We really appreciate you guys.
Feedback.
And we know you guys can get your sports coverage or your NFL or in this case your draft coverage almost anywhere.
Guy Mike listens to the show on the way home. He listens to the full show, so we appreciate that.
Yes, for sure.
Definitely. 1,200 views.
1,200 views on the first show. Let's hope we get a little closer to that. Maybe even more this time. You never know. We know it's the off season. We know it's kind of dragging a little bit, but we're going to be doing. We would love to do a show every day if we could, but it's just there's not a lot to talk about other than this draft stuff. So when we get closer to the NFL season, because maybe closer to playoff time in basketball, who knows? Maybe throw 2 or 3 a week, who knows? But we're going to stick with the 1 a week now and give you a full good show here. So thank y'all so much. Make sure you're liking the Facebook page, Jira and Nuzzy Podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube page, Jira and Nuzzy Podcast. And we're also on Twitter, at Jira and Nuzzy as well. So
thank you
guys very much. Yes, wives, thank you. Everything for the equipment, for the support, for, having to hear us talk about this almost 24/7. But we're having a blast doing it. We hope you had fun sticking around with us here. And we'll see you guys next show. Thank you guys very much. We'll see you next time.
Prime.
Ask on All Prime.